Being in the air is so exciting.
Yulia, you're welcome.
Okay, so officially, hi again, everybody. Good evening, good night, good early morning. Okay, so we have just 60 minutes to discuss some points related to ICA international development. We are going to use two instruments, just media channel, where Svetlana is much more experienced than I am. And it's another tool, probably some of you familiar with Lino-it, the virtual sticky wall for facilitating the issues we are going to experiment with. Sveta, does everybody have links to go to Lino-it board?
No.
No. So what should we do to be able to
now I put
there?
this link. I put, and I think that everybody have this link because everybody should get it on the email, Gmail. If you get, you are welcome to Lino. If you not, you catch this link in the chat and follow the link, and you will see group with called our ICA. And check Yulia that everybody is there.
This is Steve. There's a small possibility that Nelson Stover will join us.
Does the link work? Steve, I think you have to switch on the microphone. It's muted. Steve, your microphone is muted. And I can see you're saying something.
Yes, I have the link, but I have to log in.
Okay.
I've also taken the liberty of inviting Nelson Stover to join us, if he's able to do that.
Okay.
Okay, great. Yulia?
So.
And if you click on my screen, if you click on my screen, you will see the board.
You're asking me?
Юля, если нажмут на мою... Our ICA.
Okay. We should click on your screen. Is it?
You see it.
Okay, we're just going on, right? Sorry?
I can't read anything on that screen.
You can't see the screen? Hello? Robin.
I can see it, but it's so tiny I can't read it.
Okay.
Okay. Don't worry.
Это не нужно читать. Я опущу сейчас это все, и ты работай, начинай работать. Я все сделаю, Юля.
Okay, so we're just going on, and Sveta will assist me. Okay, can everybody see the Lino board? Colleagues, can you see the Lino board and Pink's post with the goals for today. Okay, so I just see Larry nodding me. So our 3 goals for today's meeting: unite us as members of ICA International, and then meditate together on some possible next development steps, and also demonstrate how the media channel and LinoEat instruments benefit while working together. So let's just briefly introduce ourselves to each other. And I have just 4 very simple questions. What is your name? Where are you from? What organization do you represent? And what are your expectations for today's meeting? Okay, you're welcome just to be first to briefly answer these questions. And we'll move to some next step. Okay.
This is Steve. I'll introduce myself. My name is Steve Harrington. I'm at the moment in the United States, just by the St. Croix River, which is near the Mississippi River. And I often work with the Institute of Cultural Affairs Global Archives Project. Mm-hmm. And one interest I have, maybe we can start a conversation about a piece of this today, is creating a regular or semi-regular Google Hangout where we generate both content and produce program. So, and we make it as widely available to people as we possibly can. And that's what I have to say just at this moment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Nice to meet you. Okay. Next voice. So who else is willing to introduce himself?
This is Larry Philbrook. I'm in Taiwan with ICA Taiwan. I've got some feedback. Nope, it's okay now. I don't actually have an expectation of the meeting. I simply got Svetlana's invitation and said yes. So I'm open to whatever happens.
Okay, I am so complete. You fulfilled Svetlana's expectation. Okay, Svetlana, then you are the next. You have.
Okay.
You have to pay back.
It means that it's my day. Yes, I should pay back. And I'm Svetlana Solomatova. I'm head of ICA Ukraine. And the main idea and my main expectation for today to make us a little bit closer to each other through the instrument which you now watch on YouTube, if you watch us right now on YouTube. And for sure, we have one person who see us, who watch us on YouTube, our conversation. He or she doesn't very active right now, but I see that, and I want to say him or her hi from Ukraine anyway. And this instrument help us to be closer to each other and help us to follow TOP rule, I mean TOP technology. And today my expectation that you touch a little bit new instrument for consensus. It's Lino desk is very great for consensus. And my expectation is that all ICA team will follow this instrument which ICA Ukraine open in internet. Mm-hmm. And thank you very much.
Okay, just give the name of the next person to participate to introduce, and we will move on. Света, скажи, кто будет дальше, и мы будем продолжать.
Okay, I can say a couple words about myself. I am Vladimir Solomatov from Ukraine, from Kiev, sitting in the next room to Svetlana. I am part of the ICA Ukraine, and at the same time I work on the National Academy of Public Administration. My expectation is to develop our joint cooperation, and I am very glad to see all of you, my friends. And thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Vladimir. Okay. The microphone is free. Who is the next?
Robin?
I'm Robin. I'm Robin from Sydney, New South Wales in Australia. I just am a part of ICA Australia, and yes, I also joined because Svetlana invited me. Thank you, Svetlana. I've been on one or two of these before, but yeah, the time is not that easy. But I just really wanted to be a part of this one. My expectation is, as I understand it, is, yeah, I think it caught my attention when Svetlana said to get a little bit closer to each other. I think that this is great to do that, and to explore this as a tool for various forums and meetings to meet within ICA. And that would be regional or ICA international meetings, whatever. And I think the other thing is, if this is a tool to build consensus, or one way of building consensus, then it's worth exploring. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin.
And we have Evelyn.
This is Evelyn Philbrook. Can you hear me?
Sure, yeah.
Yes.
Yes?
We can.
Okay. I'm with ICA Taiwan, and I was sitting in the other room, and I couldn't get connected, so I came into the same office with Larry. So he has to mute himself if I'm talking, and I mute myself if he's talking. I had been thinking as I was listening to the ICAI general meeting that it was difficult to catch up on what are people really thinking, because there was no opportunity to discuss the issues before people actually voted. And that surprised me, because I thought, as I had said earlier to Svetlana, that one of the things that we want to do is we want to create the opportunity to create the consensus first and then vote. But in the case of the process that was used with the ICAI General Assembly meeting, we had a very long agenda, and we did not really discuss pro or advantages or positions or strategies for why we should vote yes, or why we should abstain, or why we should say no. And that surprised me, because that's not my experience of us as a body of people. And if we continue to vote without discussing, then how do we carry out what the true consensus is? And that's the reason I joined. So, and I'm complete.
Thanks a lot, Evelyn. And we have
Nelson.
Yes, welcome.
Nelson, Julian. Mm-hmm.
Okay, Nelson, we're just in the middle of introducing ourselves, or just can you please just say a couple of words? Could you, by the way, could you use the link for joining the Lena 8 board?
Could I didn't know. Could I do what?
We're using digital board, and Svetlana just a couple of minutes ago sent us a link to join the board for digital facilitation. So
I thought I did, but
Sveta, can you please re-mail the link? Okay.
Юль, ты будешь делать, а я, пока ты будешь разговаривать, задавать вопросы, мы будем говорить, я отправлю всем ссылку.
Yulia, may I say something?
Please do.
I don't think Nelson has any experience or understanding of the board.
Okay.
So you
Nelson,
may have.
now I leave, Steve, now Yulia will facilitate our conversation, and I will leave in chat link, and everybody follow link and go directly to the digital board, okay? Yulia, you're welcome.
Okay, so then.
So you want me to introduce myself just briefly? I'm Nelson Stover. I'm Nelson Stover. I'm currently living in Greensboro, North Carolina, on the eastern coast of the United States. I have a long history with the Institute, and am currently working with a small nonprofit called Emerging Ecology, which is in the process of trying to figure out how to become an associate member of ICA International.
Okay. Thank you, Nelson. Nice to meet you. And well, let's move on. And the very first question, I want we to share the opinions. Give some examples of situations when you think it's good to cooperate with your ICA colleagues from other countries. What's the question? Shall I repeat the question?
Yes.
Please give some examples. Think of some examples of situations, issues, when you think it's good to cooperate with your ICA colleagues from other countries.
Okay.
Yulia, I'm unable to activate the Lino board. Can I ask someone to put in my text in the chat window?
Okay. Sveta, do you think it's fine if someone cannot use Lino board, we can use the chat window?
Yes, of course. Yes, of
Sure.
course.
Okay.
Sure.
To answer the question, when is it good to connect? When is
Larry,
it good
I cannot
to connect
hear you.
with our ICA colleagues?
Lost you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
When
you.
is it good to connect with ICA colleagues from other countries? Well, I think because we have a lot of different things going on in different countries, it's one of the good things is simply to as an opportunity to learn from each other, but also the opportunities to get an idea of what else to do and what kind of programs to be involved in and stuff by visiting each other. It allows us to then generate new program locally. And I am complete.
Okay, thank you. I have just typed the question in the chat window, so it's just on the right.
Robin here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Robin, it's fine.
Okay. Yes, in Asia, Asia Pacific, where some of us on this conversation are from, we have quite a strong collection of colleagues, and we have over many, many years met one way or the other as a region in various locations, and this year we have started to meet again more regularly, and it has been on Skype or Adobe, and could of course be on Google Hangout. And I think our regional meetings are a good example of the current collaboration and the feeling of need for continued and increased and improved collaboration with all of the ICAs in the region. I guess a current example of that is that there is a quite serious proposal on the table for a regional gathering to be held in this coming year, 2015. And I see it more as a working party to discuss what it is we're doing in our region and how we can support each other. And for that, we really need every opportunity to meet in a way that is meaningful to each of us. And I mean meet online, of course, prior to any kind of face-to-face meeting that we might have. And I'm very, very concerned. I didn't say it, but I raised it in some emails earlier on about our process within ICAs, within ICA International, of never losing sight of the fact that consensus is our basic process, and that we must find ways of reaching a consensus before we vote. And that applies very strongly, in my opinion, to the global, the General Assembly that we have in front of us at the moment, where our voting will actually close on the 22nd about some quite important issues. And so I think we need to find ways of reaching the consensus before we get to voting, just exactly in the way Evelyn has said. And that applies to pretty much to everything that we do. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Other opinions? Somebody has just appeared and we have a question to answer when it's good to cooperate with ICA colleagues from the other countries.
So
And I think that is okay.
I'll say a bit. So we have a current project that I've been working on from here, an interchange with the school in Chickley, an ICA India project it's turned into a very practical series of interchanges by Skype. And for me, the advantage of this has been that the school in Chickley and the schools here, 3 high schools here in the United States, are exceptionally diverse. And the ability to bridge that gap in conversation has been helpful on both sides. So for me, this has been an example of how to collaborate on a project that gives new images to participants from both sides.
This is Steve. Maybe there's time for a short comment from me. I don't feel like I'm specifically able to address ICAI organizational issues. They sound familiar and worth working on. I hear similar issues around the ICA discussions that go on at the archives. One of the things that I've been working on with Nelson and also with Lauren Waybright in Nepal is moving towards project-based inquiry and collaboration. So, for example, Lauren just did an action planning session that he learned from ICA at a school in Nepal. And the action elements of the action plan are being implemented in 5 groups among teachers and several administrator groups. He is also going to join with Nelson in Chickley in January. And for me, there are 2 aspects of this programmatic collaboration. One of them is on-site work, and the second is being willing to invite collaboration online from other people that have expertise that they wish to share or help mentor or help coach. The most recent example of that for me is Olive Ann Slata is working collaboratively with 2 teachers to strengthen the math program in this particular school, and using the methodology of project-based inquiry, which in our traditional lingo might be something like a problem-solving unit. So I think we need, around the archives, where I can speak very personally, and also maybe more generally around ICA International, in my view, collaborative projects where there are opportunities for mentoring and online and on-site collaboration really opens up a brand new set of possibilities. And I'm done with my comments.
Thanks a lot, Steve. Somebody else? Okay.
I can say something.
Volodya, welcome.
I guess the good example of usefulness or need for international cooperation is summer event, Summer Peace Summit, which was held in Ukraine, in Kiev, this summer in July. As a result of multinational team of facilitators, we received the great effect, I think. A year ago, we could not even imagine about such results. There were the meeting in which participated about 300 people, and after that we had the continuation. We had the 2-day session with 200 people in one of the cities which is situated 50 miles from Kiev, and there are a couple other projects which are emerged as a result of Peace Summit, and participation in facilitation of these meetings by the multinational team has a great influence, I guess, on both on ICA Ukraine, and it was very impressive for participants too. So I guess it is such kind of international cooperation has a great future, not just for our country, but maybe for others too.
My next question was very closely related to the answers and ideas you have already provided. So my next question prepared in this line was, what input could we get as a result of the ICA colleagues from other countries' participation. So probably we can sum up or provide some more ideas of what input can be got as a result of the ICA colleagues from other countries' participation.
Can you type the question,
Sure,
please?
I will do it.
Thank you.
So,
more or less clear.
so I can, I'll say a word. Part of my interest in this at this time is not directly with facilitation methods, but with operating images and how we understand the world we live in. And one of the unique contributions that we have been able to get to have in working with the ICA India project in Chickley is that is a tribal school. That is, the students and their families have quite different images of the world than, say, me. And the dialogue between the students from now we're working with 4 high schools, 3 here and Chickley. This has been a very fruitful dialogue for broadening everyone's perspective. And for me, this is an important aspect of our global community. That's my insight. I'm done.
Thanks a lot, Nelson. Any other opinions? Any other experiences?
Yeah, I would just add, following on from Steve's example earlier, about 6 or 8 hours ago, Lauren Waybright in Nepal called me, and we had an hour together discussing the meeting that I understand he's probably just had with his school team in Nepal. And that was, I think a meeting to explore other possibilities for resolving some particular situations that he's working with there. So the input from other people in other locations is critical at every point in order to help each of us move on and to build consensus. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's Steve. I have one more small thing that I could add. In the archives project, we have successfully recovered 3 very interesting imaginal education tools. 2 of them are books written by Olivan Slata, one about the use of ICA tools in the traditional seminar 4-wall, 4-room, in a room format. The second one, which she published about 1990, is in the arena of project-based inquiry, when you begin to invite learning to occur outside of the 4 walls of a classroom. A third thing that we recovered is a project-based inquiry document written by John Euler and his team, along with some photos of high school-based applications of this sort of more modern learning style, where the teacher is more in the coach and collaborator role than in the, hero at the front of the room role. And Olivan's work and John Euler's work and Jim Addington's work and Seva Gandhi's work are really defining, I think, a new edge of imaginal learning. And the ICA Archives project is interested in finding ways of distributing these materials and putting them actively in use. So, for example, the teachers in the school in Nepal now have a copy of the Basic Tools book that Olivan Slata wrote years ago. Although it's written in English, not in Nepali, it seems like it can be quite useful to them.
Thank you, Steve. I can see Larry adding some points to the chat bar. Larry, do you want me to read it aloud, or you can?
No, I can read it. I just was typing it as it was occurring to me so I wouldn't forget. The one is that challenging each other to push beyond what fits our current practice, because each ICA has tended to do what makes sense to them in their context. But by working with other ICAs, it can challenge that and say, not to say what we're doing is not helpful, but are there other areas that we need to work? The Peace Summit was a good example, simply because it had never done, nobody had ever thought about doing that before, and if we were smart, we wouldn't have tried. But because you were crazy, you went ahead and did it. It was a great event and a great learning. But therefore, everybody else gets to learn from that. And the second was that the active learning opportunities of what's going on now honors the work being done. That is what people are actually trying to practice. And then that invites it to be challenged by other people or to integrate with other locations and with ICA, the work, historic work, the archives work that Steve was just talking about. It gives us something to compare that to. So when we talk about image change, when we had the conversation about image change in Ukraine around the Imaginal Learning course, it's not image change in a historical framework, it's image change in this moment's framework of dealing in that kind of dilemma and that kind of reality. And so the same with the work with the schools going on right now, the work with these are all this moment work, which means they're both connected to the historic, but they're not limited by the historic. And I'm complete.
Thank you, Larry. My next question is, why is it important to discuss and share the experience of benefits of such cooperation? And I'm just typing this question in the chat bar. So why is it important to discuss and share the experience?
I think for me the sharing is the most important part of that that question. That is, I mean, discussing in the sense of having more discussions is also powerful, but and figuring out how the electronic can be used to help those discussions take place across countries I think is a critical piece, but also saving the videos, saving the conversations so that they can be available to people later. We've never really had this capability before, so we don't really know what that means. But it could be a very powerful way for us to share together. In other words, whether you're in this call or not, you have access to getting online and hearing this conversation and adding to it. What difference does that make if we can do more of these conversations? Like next month, we're going to do one of these on the new sense of leadership. That then will be available to people. We're going to, if we did one on imaginal learning, like the context for imaginal learning, then that would then be available to everybody on YouTube or on whatever access. Anyway, it's a really creative opportunity that we've never tried before. I am complete.
Thank you.
Robin here. I'd like to add to that. I fully agree that it's a tool that can be used in that way, but I think the other way that this tool can be used, and this is what I'm looking at, is as an alternative to Skype and to Adobe Connect, which we're all familiar with and use up until this point. And then we've been using this tool. But this could be a great tool to use for in-house conversations that is not necessarily broadcast publicly, and it's a way if we can get the players in whatever particular meeting it is, if it's a regional meeting, okay, so across the countries that are in that particular region, or a global meeting such as the General Assembly, which obviously is global. Then we have a tool for building consensus, because I think our experience is that unless we have a way of having the deep discussion, we don't have adequate ways of building consensus. And that is quite an issue, I believe, that's facing us at the moment. So perhaps such a meeting can be recorded, but it's recorded for in-house purposes so that we can talk quite freely about what it is we need to resolve and to discuss and to work out in terms of our plans at whatever level and whatever particular purpose we are meeting for. That's one of the things that I think this is very valuable for. Because I think underlying my comment is that we need to be very, very specific and address the particular concern, whether it's the concern of somebody working out what they're going to do in a school, or whether it's a concern of how we're going to move forward as an organisation or in a part of an organisation. They are very, very specific reasons for having the conversation, and they're not always appropriate to be broadcast. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin.
One other point, writing on Larry's point about leadership, you know, it seems like this kind of technology where you're doing work on the computer screen in whatever format opens up new patterns of leadership. Facilitating in four walls, in front of four walls, is a very powerful leadership method. And what happens if you break open one of those walls to the globe so that it is a window onto the rest of the world? For me, an example of that are these three math teachers who wish to get outside the four walls of their classroom and the rote learning that they know and use from their book. And when they were speaking with Olive Ann Slata, she said, Well, let's take your math exercises out of the classroom and into the neighborhood. So she helped them co-create some math exercises that the teachers and the students could do outside the four walls of that classroom. Well, it isn't just ICA folks that get an opportunity to test new leadership skills in that kind of a framework. Here are 3 teachers who have never heard of the Institute of Cultural Affairs before, never heard of imaginal learning, never dreamed of the possibility of co-collaborating with a math teacher in Denver, Colorado in the United States. What a terrific window of opportunity that is for those teachers. And it's also possible to create collaborative classrooms, students to students, like in the direction that Nelson is pointing at. So it isn't just us kids that get to collaborate with these kinds of tools and develop leadership. I think we open many windows with these kinds of new approaches.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Svetlana Salamatova, you are unusually silent today. Do you have anything to share?
I'm unusually silent because my English not very well, and
Not true.
You know, everything is about creating.
Salamatova can speak a lot because you have opportunity to talk a lot today. Because when I start to talk, everybody keeps silent.
We'd like to hear your views, Svetlana.
It's very difficult to describe my thinking in English. It's very important discuss for me for today, and I think that we will see a lot of result of today conversation, of today cooperation, and we start 40 minutes ago. And I feel in 30 minutes our conversation like something changed in our environment right now. And I think if we spend more 60 minutes together, and I believe that it happened maybe 30 minutes together, not 60, and we will see result on the board today. And we collect these results. And my idea and my imagine right now that people who are not involved right now in our conversation will think about to be involved to next meeting. And I think about this result. And this magic result I caught during last year through my program like ICA Ukraine hosted, and we collect so many people, we engage so many people in Ukraine, so many leaders in Ukraine. And now I have I spent 9 months very active in this resource, Google Plus Handouts, and all my activities were covered by name of ICA. And nobody heard about ICA in Ukraine couple years ago or year ago. And now I have 1,000 really friends on my Facebook page. It's not we have collected 5,000 people from universal in our Facebook, but my environment is very clear, and I have not less than 80% of leaders in my page, in my in my space. And from this space, Peace Summit participators came. It was for me not very difficult to collect more than 200 participators. And now I think that a lot of people wait for our global activity. I mean, global joint activity. All people in Ukraine are waiting for us. And I think that ICA Global should recover in a little bit. We should renew a little bit. Sometimes war and conflicts are very useful for everybody. And we can get it in, we can see it in Ukraine that we have blood conflict in Ukraine, but it's very useful for us. And I'm sorry for people who died, who passed away, that it's very, very bad thing that 1,000 people passed away right now. 1,000 Ukrainians passed away. And, but we see other results, and we see like social community social community is growing up very fast, and now we start to be stronger. And I don't mean that we are opposite of Ukrainian government. We are not opposite. We are ready to work together, and all TOP global team should come to Ukraine and work in Ukraine. And for example, I believe in months, we have big strategic villages in this region.
You're frozen.
Okay, no. And I say that in that region, we have 652 villages. And I want to say that we should think very strongly about joint cooperation. And one region, 652, and let's do something together, and let's grow up ICA Global, and let's come to one country together and make good, positive changing. I mean, not revolution, not blood thing, because ICA team is very strong. We are very nice people, and everybody in the world, our universe should know about us more, and don't to be shy, because we are a great team.
I'm sure you are.
Thank you very much. And don't ask me say something, because it will take Robin night in Robbie in Australia, and now it's 3 a.m. and Robin with us, right now. And thank you, Robin. And Flari and Evelyn in Taiwan. It's night in Taiwan, and we are talking together. And thank you, guys.
Thank you.
And I believe in our better future. And not better, the best future, I'm sorry.
And Svetlana?
Yes.
Yes, and please, always feel free to speak. And your English is quite pleasant to listen to. And your comments are wonderful, and your English is pleasant to listen to. And so from a person whose native language is English, I want to encourage you always to speak more. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Nelson, very much. And that's why we should to talk closer with each other, and talk very open and very transparency. And now we are talk very transparency with other global organization. And could you imagine that I don't know, United Nations will come to our conversation, and we start to talk very transparency, and let's create transparency relationship with United Nations. Let's directly to this Google Plus handouts. It's possible to do it. And I know a lot of people in Ukraine, it's international offices, who are ready to go for this type of conversation. And we have experience in Ukraine, and we do it here. It's very
Great.
useful for organization development. It's very useful for personal development. And like it's very poor that Sergei Sukhopochenko is not with us right now, and he is a great guy, and ICA team should say thank you to him, because without his effort to me, and he said me, Svetlana, don't worry about
What happened?
We crashed. But we're all coming back. It'll just take a minute.
We are coming back. Oh, I thought it
It'll
was
just-
finished.
It'll just take a minute for it to all come back. Okay.
I afraid myself sometimes. Even internet broken when I start to talk.
So, Svetlana, a question. Can we practice? Can we practice our next wind and waves conversation like this?
Yes, of course.
It would be great.
The only limit is 10 people.
That's all right.
And,
We
uh-huh.
we don't have more than 10 people on our wind and waves team. It would only be, say, 3 or 4 times a year.
Yeah, more can view it and more can talk about it and give feedback and everything, but it's just at a moment on these cameras down here at the bottom is 10 people is the maximum.
It's
Okay, right.
not
That would-
right now, Larry. At Google, Google company works well, and it seems like now we can have 20 people in this room. But we didn't try. Yes, we didn't try 20. We should try 20 here, and I should work with my internet connection with my internet company, because all computers and all digital devices broken when I start to work with this with digital, and I should fix it, this problem.
Right.
Maybe I'm very
Julia's
strong,
back.
I don't know.
What about people in India and Africa and South America? Can they easily connect into this? I've not been on a conversation where we've had people from those countries. Is that a challenge still or not?
It works. It worked, Robin. I had program. I did program. My program, ICA Ukraine hosted. I did this program with Kenya, and it works well. No problem.
Great. Oh, well, let's talk some more and let's see how we might utilize it in some other ways. That would be great. Thank you.
And Yulia,
I'm back.
Julia's back. I see her.
Yeah, I've been away for some time. Okay, just to draw the line under our discussion, just the very last question. If we could, a bit provocative, I think. If we could find the history of ICA development 10 years back, what do you think it would have been good to do in a different way? Sveta, can you show us that first question? Why it's better if I just type it in the chat bar? Okay.
And you can see on the screen right now on the monitor.
Yeah, if we could find the history of ICA development 10 years back, what do you think it would have been good to do in a different way?
Well, it's Steve. One thing I wish we had done in the archives 10 years ago was to recover some of the extraordinary background and homework and research and application in what used to be called imaginal education. I think no one can see the future, of course, but who would have believed that in the 21st century there would be such a profound opening for action about new ways of learning from the top to the bottom of the learning universe, from preschool on up through graduate students. Everyone, it seems, has the idea that there is a learning revolution occurring now. I didn't see that coming 10 years ago, and I wish I had.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, that's not so far away, just 204. Any other reflections? Looking back to what we have just discussed on sharing the sayings, etc. Okay.
And it's very difficult for me to think about if I establish ICA Global in 60 years ago. It's very difficult to imagine right now because I wasn't born at the time, and I didn't feel environment, like historical environment, and we should understand what was spirit of this term, a human term. What happened with human? What happened in US? Because as I understand, it started in US in early 60s. And I understand what happened here in Ukraine and in Soviet Union times. At time, I understand well. But we had big space, big hole between Soviet Union environment and U.S. environment. And I think that Ukraine now is very close to that environment right now. A lot of people protested from something here in Ukraine, and I think that in the US was the same. A lot of people protested from something, and it's really, Yulia, a provocative question, and it's very difficult to criticize people who was father and mother of our environment. And I think what happened, that happened.
Exactly.
And ICA Ukraine created 3 years ago. And even if I come back to 3 years and you ask me this question, and I say half of my head say, yes, Svetlana, I know a lot that we should change, but other side says no, because if we follow TOP facilitator rules and we are very strong, our spirit very strong, and we understand that everything what happened is right and was right, and I think we should say thank you to globalize for father and mother ICA global team, and I think that a lot of people in ICA environment, ICA team, feel spirit of father and mother, and if you don't feel this spirit, it means that you should work well with something.
Okay. Sveta, now can you give me a piece of advice? Do you think we should move to Lina board, or we can go on here just as discussing?
Let's ask our friends.
So okay, to proceed with our meeting, we need to switch on to the Lina It board, and at the beginning, Svetlana mailed us the link. Well, and then could everybody just follow the link to get to the virtual board? Was it successful? Was it easy? Can you see the virtual board?
I'm
No.
on the board.
Laurie is in the board. Robin shaking.
No, I can't.
She's shaking
I
her
can't.
head.
The way I got to the board
Steve, how are you?
was to sign in as Svetlana. Svetlana
Laurie,
gave her password. That's what I did. So I'm signed in, but I'm signed in also as Svetlana.
Now I give you password and login, and you go very easy to this board, and it will be. I will be very appreciate if you try this instrument. Maybe it will be not very good result like consensus, but let's try it. Robin, can you see my username and password? And open the link, follow the link Linode, and
I saw.
put my username and password, and you will be on the board.
I saw it for a minute, but it has disappeared.
If you go to the left-hand side of your screen,
Yes.
and your mouse should give you some different icons, one of which says chat. If you click on the chat icon, it should stay on the right-hand side of the screen. Your chat should appear.
I can see the icons, but there's nothing. I don't know which one is chat. It doesn't tell me. Unless it's the top one.
Blue.
The blue
yes.
one.
The
at the
blue
top.
one?
Yes, blue one. Yes.
Okay, right. So I click on that. And then.
And then on the other side of the screen, the chat pod should appear. When you click on that, the chat pod should appear on the right-hand side of your screen.
No, it's just highlighting control room. I'm double clicking on that icon, and it's got a 15 on it for some reason, but it's not responding.
Okay, control room
What
is a different icon.
No, the control room is just words there, and they are what highlights when I click on that icon, but they don't do anything either, those words, control room.
But you're actually looking for a different icon that should be above that called chat.
Yeah, that's what I'm clicking on. But the control room is on the top of it.
Okay, then plan B, we just show you the screen, and we can type into the Lino on your behalf.
Okay.
Okay, do we need some instructions to proceed with Linode, or its familiar tool?
What is our plan now?
We're coming to the consensus workshop.
Wow. Consensus. How much longer are we? How much longer is the meeting going?
Well, initially we planned 2 hours, but then looking at the number of participants, we decided it probably is a good idea just to limit ourselves with 60 minutes. So we are beyond those 60 minutes.
Yeah.
Let's do it 5 minutes. Let's do it 5 minutes. No problem.
Let's do it 5 minutes.
Go ahead, but I may leave shortly. Go ahead.
Just feeding Svetlana and the password, and it didn't work.
Laurie, teach
Evelyn.
I'm working on it.
Okay, now just short instructing. If you look at your visual board, you can see just gray bar somewhere on the top and on the right. If you click on the very little tiny triangle on the right down corner, it will just unfold and you will see 4 piles of visual stickers. You can, if you click on each of them, you can use them as just the text document to type in and share your ideas, just as you would do working with physical paper. So, and our key question for today, very brief consensus, sounds like: describe the modern international organization in which you want to work and which you want to develop, which you agree to develop. And following the familiar procedure, please take a piece of paper and put down 10 ideas, 10 possible answers for this question. How should look that modern international organization? How should look the ICA in which you want to work and develop, who would agree to work for and develop?
Folk, I am going to leave. I can't participate too well in this part of it for some reason, but I also need to go to sleep. So thank you so much for everyone, and it's been great talking, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
very
Robin.
much.
It was a pleasure.
Bye.
Thank you, Robin. Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Okay, so just so I think we know each other well enough. So you would prefer to proceed, or we would just make some discussion answering these questions? What do you feel? Do you have some more energy left to participate in consensus?
No energy.
I always have energy left, but
Okay,
but it's well, it's just that it's only Ukraine and Taiwan that's left on the call. So I'm wondering if it would be better if we postponed it and did it when we had more others here, or we could start the brainstorm, and then when the next group comes on, they at least have some ideas from us or whatever. I don't know. There's another group that's coming Monday. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, then, Svetlana. Well,
and I don't know that we can organize on Monday. It's no problem.
Okay, then
we can use other ways.
I'm trying to interpret your email, Svetlana. I wasn't making a suggestion. I was just trying to interpret the email that you sent out.
Okay, Sveta, what if we do just special announce for such a consensus workshop, and then yes, let's proceed on Monday and start exactly with consensus, and let's consider this meeting as warm up.
I think it really went great. I mean, I thought the meeting went just fine. I think, as you know, timing on these kind of things is always hard.
Sure,
because you have a certain amount of everybody checking, can you hear me, and all that stuff, and so there's always some timing differences. But I thought it went very well, and I thought the content of the conversation went really well, and it demonstrated again what I've experienced before, which is this tool is better than Adobe Connect and some other things, in the sense that everybody is actively, the videos and everything means everybody's tends to be much more actively engaged in the conversation. And so, especially for a conversation, it works really powerfully. And I haven't used the Linux myself for a workshop, but I have played with it a couple of times before. And so I do think, I think the idea is exactly right. I just think tonight. I think we're better off if we postpone to Monday to do the workshop on Monday.
Okay, Larry. You know what? What you have just said gave me an idea that it's also a nice thing to advertise both Lino and the key question for the consensus. You know, to let people know what to expect and other things you told.
Well, and also they can brainstorm. Also, they can send brainstorm data, even if they can't come. They can send brainstorm data, and we can add it to the brainstorm, and so it's not. I mean, it's not a problem if people have difficulty making the meeting but want to share some ideas. They can feel free to share that. By the way, this is my wife, Evelyn.
Evelyn,
so you know.
That's a pleasure to meet you, Larry. I have a special greeting for Evelyn.
You can't see her.
Evelyn, I have a special greeting for you. Just a second. It's totally out of the subject of the meeting, but I think you will probably enjoy it. A second.
And it's great that
the cat. Oh, you got to go back to your camera page. So you can see the cat.
Oh, you have a cat.
And this is co-facilitator of Yulia.
Yes, of course. We have two co-facilitators wandering around here somewhere, but it's cold right now, so they're probably in our bed underneath the blanket.
The one is asking me, why aren't you going to bed?
You gotta turn your microphone on.
No, we can hear Evelyn.
I can hear.
Oh, okay, good.
Света, давай практически. Что, мы заканчиваем?
Sorry, and thank you for your proposition to help me with interpreter of my English, and because I know that it's very difficult for me, and I'm really hero that I do it by English, because my knowledge is not enough for this kind of activity. It's I understand it, but at the same time, it's helped me to engage somebody.
Yeah, it's useful, you know. It's good to know people to get some necessary support from time to time.
And I hope that slow by slow, step by step, and people from different sides of our world find themselves here in this video room, and it will be strong media team for university, for ICA, ICA global. I don't know how to say environment.
Unity.
I don't know how to say. And thank you very much for your time for today, and we are really core of ICA.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. All the best. It was a pleasure to meet everybody.
See you on Monday.
Good night. See you on Monday.
Okay.
And I will see you on Monday.
See you on Monday. Goodbye. Good night.
All right, goodbye. Good night.
Good night.